And welcome back to the Off the Clock Show. You're joined once again with your host, Shawn Gervais from the OrbisX CRM, as well as Marty, Mr. Marshall Hill from the Pints and Polishing Podcast, as well as hyperClean Car Care Products. That is hyperClean Car Care Products. Had to say it again, little shameless plug.
Sounds so good once, gotta say it twice.
Yeah, exactly. And man, I tell you, I was getting your emails over the weekend and phenomenal. Yeah, you guys are doing a great job on stuff there and phenomenal products, so phenomenal marketing.
That's all Nick. Nick's the man.
Yeah, he makes the magic happen. And Marty's like, I take no credit. That's fine. But how was your weekend, man?
No, I mean, and this is the ironic part, right? Because I was so staunch about not being an email guy. I think this is something you and I have talked publicly about years and years ago. Like,
yeah,
but a lot of that is because of me as a habit, which is why I went so quickly onto social and I enjoy that side.
yeah.
But emails where everything still goes.
Yep.
I just don't read, man. I'm a terrible reader, horrible reader. They tested me in high school at 111 words a minute.
Oh, shoot.
That's like your slow motion.
Yeah.
So you mix in slow motion with somebody with ADD.
Yeah.
That those two don't mix. So I really struggle with reading. I almost can't read. Like it's very tough. So I punted emails forever.
Yeah. And so when you get emails,
Nick is the email king and he loves emails and he's pushed for emails.
The right email, the right subject line, the right content. Ooh, man, it's magic, you know?
And he's making magic. You bet. He does great with them. He does a great job.
That's amazing. You know what? We're going to have to talk more in depth about this after because there's some stuff I'm working on right now with AI and email campaigns. That's pretty damn amazing. So it started with our gift card stuff. So imagine this, because this is what's coming. There'll be a gift card image. So you'll have your gift card. You get an email and says you've been gifted a $100 gift card or something to hyperClean, right? As you go and you use that, let's say you use $50 of it, that email that you received, let's say a week ago, you can go back and reopen the email and the gift card image will update with the current balance.
That's cool.
A past email that you got like a week ago, it updates because of the AI we're working on. And so now that might not sound like a crazy example, but imagine if you
send a little scary for some people too.
This is true, but imagine now OrbisX will send out your customers an email and it could be, let's say, a scratch card, and it'll say, check this email tomorrow to see if you get a discount or see if you win. And then they go back and check that email and then boom, it'll reveal itself and give them a coupon or a discount, but it's a past email. So
that's cool. That's really cool.
Exactly. So it's the trick aspect of it where they're like, oh, that's cool. They go check for it. But the other thing it does is in their email program, when they search for past emails with whatever your company name is or whatever they're doing like that, it adds it into the algorithm. Let's say you're using Gmail, and it'll start to prioritize your promotions over other ones because you've looked for a past one. It assumes, oh, you're interested in this, you know? So there's the double side there. So there's some pretty cool shit we're working on. Yeah, I know, right? Hats off to that. Yeah, let's see the other guys do that.
Ain't happening.
Yeah, ain't happening. But yeah, so we got some cool shit in the works. And then the other thing we're doing now, because I've been getting everybody to upload their before and afters. And so the gift cards, there's going to be a new premium feature coming where you can actually, a customer could go purchase a gift card with a generic template, or they can pay a little extra to customize it with the sender's actual gift card image, so of their vehicle. So it would be like their before and after. So it would show the after picture of the, let's say I go and send you a gift card and you went to that place before, it'll take your actual truck or something and put it on the card, which is pretty amazing. So
that's really cool. Yeah,
I know. So we got some cool stuff in the
works. Nicely done, man. Nicely done. That's cool.
Thanks, man. Yeah. It's these little tweaks that in marketing make a big difference, you know, and that's where emails.
Absolutely.
A lot of people, they're like, oh, I prefer text. I prefer this and that. And text is great for instant communication. But sometimes when it's a certain type of message, email just trumps. It really does. And the fact that they have it there and it stays there, you know, like I get text messages from all kinds of things. Half the time I just read the preview and then put it down, you know, but emails, it's logged in there when I go and check. It's, you know, it's different. Yeah, man.
Hey, but so yeah. I like that update you sent me earlier.
Which one was that?
Little picanha update.
The picanha? Yeah. Oh my God. that has been a journey, man. Like you just have it at your disposal. And so we found this new butcher. They work directly with farms. They sell all kinds of stuff and like jams and different things. But I asked him just randomly. I said, "Any chance you've heard of picanha?" He said, "Actually, there's a Brazilian community that I work with here." And he said, we order it in and stuff. He says, "It's by order." He said, "But let me know like how much you want." I was like, "You're joking." I thought he was like pulling my leg at first, but no, he's serious. So anyway, we placed an order. We got a box coming in, and which is pretty cool. And they're a good company too, family owned, and they're very particular about the products they bring in. So I know it's going to be top shelf. So
Well, we
yeah.
did Brazilian American Thanksgiving here. So
Oh,
I made picanha.
nice.
Oh,
You
delicious.
you made it too, huh? Okay.
Absolutely.
You usually
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, that's all me. Mhm.
Okay. Oh,
I don't trust
damn.
that to anybody else, huh?
So that
Well,
photo you sent me, that was you.
that's
That's
me.
man. That looked delicious,
Absolutely.
man. That
Yeah.
was mouth watering.
Oh, absolutely.
Damn.
Because the difficult part, as you'll get used to it, is
Yeah.
controlling the drip. That
Okay.
that that fat drip from that cap, man. You got to stay away from the fire. So we'll be back there at Christmas. This is fun, and we rented an Airbnb this time. So I'll send you a photo. Hell, we even maybe do a live demo. Like they use these like little huts inside of their cooking. Usually they put them in like their garage area type of place, or somewhere outside. And it's like that's how they cook them, and it's always on wood, and it's always probably a good foot to 2 feet away from that flame. I mean, you're always cautious about that flame up. The difference that I encourage you to try
Yeah.
is you got to do the slow cook, but then you do the reverse sear as you let the fat drip and see if you can sear some of that outside with the flame while you're not overcooking or burning. That becomes that extra little skill to
Yeah.
it. And that's what you saw there is I was able to do it right. Like get that flame, got plenty of heat, it's cooked, but then sear on the outside, so that
Yeah.
not all the way like a cast iron sear, don't get me wrong, but at least
But it,
a
yeah.
little bit of a sear so that you got that pink inside with that nice little flavor on the outside.
All
Mm,
right. That's oh
yeah.
man. I'm excited
So
now.
so
Intimidated, but I'm excited.
you should be. Yeah.
Yeah,
It
you
takes
should be.
I've burned. I've lost. Like
Damn.
it is what it is.
All right. So, well, as long as I go in knowing that the first few are going to be, practice runs, and that's fine. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, for me, the first two were great. It was that fifth and sixth one where I got a little cocky,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
it was a little, you can't get
That's a good point.
overconfident
Yeah,
on.
because usually at first you're aware of the steps I have to do. You
Mhm.
follow them to a T, and then as you get a little cocky, you start to freestyle a bit, and it's yeah. All right, so that's what I have to pay attention
All
to.
right, so I not only that I watched a great movie. I talked about it, on our episode yesterday. Is Leo? Have you
Yeah.
seen it yet?
No, I haven't seen it. No.
Oh,
Yeah.
hilarious! Adam Sandler.
Okay.
He's like a lizard in a school. Oh, it's
Yeah, yeah.
hilarious.
Oh man,
You
okay, checking
you
that
would
out.
never think it was funny, but so that was my close of Friday.
Oh,
Nice,
nice.
made a nice drink, ate some leftovers. Ate some Thanksgiving leftovers and had
Nice.
some picanha and like
Oh
sat
man,
down and watched
amazing.
Leo. Dude, I
Yeah.
was rolling,
Oh shit,
laughing,
huh?
hilarious,
Okay, I
great
gotta check
movie.
that out. Oh man,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah, yeah. Damn. So your weekend closed off a lot better than mine. Well, it wasn't horrible. No, it was horrible. My weekend closed off horrible. So what happened was, so one of my clients is the NHL team here, the Senators. Uh, and sorry, Amanda, if you're watching this, but not the greatest game ever. We got 12 free tickets for my staff, and we helped them out with the rush order. They're doing this fight for cancer thing. They were raising money at the game, and so anyway, they printed the first batch, and they forgot to include one of the sponsors on their postcards. Yeah, big mess up. So they messaged and they said it was late too, and they said, "Shawn, anything you can do to make some magic happen. We know it's our fault, but just if you can do something." I said, "No worries, no worries. We'll get you taken care of." So got her another set printed, rushed them over to the Sensplex. She sends back, she says, "Thanks for helping us out. You can't imagine how much this saved the day. I was talking to VP and we want to send you some tickets." So at first I was like, well, I was just thinking like maybe 2 tickets or something, and I was just going to send it to my sister and her boyfriend and see if maybe they wanted to go. So I said, just send me 2 tickets, make it out to Marie and Chris. And she writes back, she's like, no, you helped us out a lot. We want to send the whole team. She's like, we're going to send you 12 tickets and 3 parking passes for vehicles. I was like, well, shit, okay then. So I was like, let's go. So we went, took out a bunch of people there, and we had good seats. Everything was nice, and we were playing the Florida Panthers, and we got absolutely demolished, 5-0, 5-0, and we couldn't get one goal in. There was a huge fight though, and there was 7 minutes left in the game.
Makes up
And
for it.
yeah, exactly. And the ref gave everybody that was on the ice a 10-minute misconduct penalty. Never happened before, ever. He said every player on the ice right now, 10 minutes misconduct, which basically means that half of each team was now gone for the whole rest of the game, basically. And so anyway, our team was very sore losers, and they kept trying to fight. And I'm telling you, man, those Florida boys, I don't know, they must grow up like fighting crocodiles because they kicked the shit out of our team. Like they did not do well at all, man. But we don't really have a good hockey team here in this city, anyways. They're I don't want to talk too bad about them. There's room.
I mean, but come on, it is strange to get beat at hockey by Florida, the Sunshine State versus Canada.
Exactly, like Jesus. Yeah, it was brutal. But I will say, the Florida team, I don't know who their trainer is or who their coaches are or anything. I got to do more research, but they played phenomenally well. And I used to play hockey when I was a kid, and my coach, I was really fast. I was really good. The players were really good that we had on our team. Some of them went on and played like semi-pro and stuff too. But he always told us, he says, it doesn't matter how fast you are, how skilled you are with the puck, whatever. He says, no one can outrun a puck. He says, that simple. And so he said, you got to learn how to pass, because if you can just pass back and forth, you don't even have to move, and you can make the other team incredibly tired. And so it's just a waiting game. It's kind of like boxing, you know what I mean? Like you just do the Mayweather, the whole time, wait till round 11 and then bring out some punches, but it's just a longevity game, right? And they played phenomenally well with each other. And it was just, all you saw was just our players just going all over the place, looking lost and everything. And of course they got frustrated, and then that's when the fights started happening. But yeah, we 5-0, man. So anyway, it was the first hockey game I went to in a while, and we took a bunch of people out. And for half the people we took out, it was their first NHL game, and it was their first time seeing the Sens. And so we just got decimated, man. 5-0, man. 5-0. And one of the goals they got too, they were 2 players shorthanded because they had a penalty. They had 3 players on the ice, and we had 5, and they still scored a goal. Like, that's just, how's that even happen, man? It was bad. But anyway, so that's how my weekend ended. Prior to that, things were going well. I did renos at our place here, which was good. And the kids were actually gone. One of my youngest is having her birthday coming up, so she went to see grandma and grandpa for a bit. And we had a whole weekend planned, my wife and I. And then unfortunately, she came down with sickness. We went to a birthday party with kids the week before. And you know what happens when you're around kids. There's always one sick. You know what I mean? So anyway, so I did a bunch of renos. So that part was good. But yeah, other than that, I did some renos. And then Florida came here, demolished our hometown team. That was my weekend.
All right, we talked a little bit ago about a pre-tip. Do you remember what your pre-tip was going to be?
Yes, we were talking about the YouTube ads and email and all that kind of marketing stuff. Yeah. And so we used to, love Facebook ads. We're on the YouTube train as well. And how you and I got talking on this before the episode was, there's a different type of buyer that's involved when it's someone going to Google for Google ads or someone going to YouTube. Usually they're trying to solve a problem or learn something, right?
Mm-hmm.
When they're on Facebook, they're in entertainment mode. They're just being entertained either by friends' posts or funny memes or something like that. And so you're just kind of hoping you can hook them in on Facebook. And so it's a lot more difficult in comparison to, YouTube or something like that. And what we do a lot is we pay attention to things that are in our neighborhood, things that are going on, community developments, all kinds of stuff. Local news is so important to us because we need to understand where our customers' heads are at. We need to understand changes that are happening in neighborhoods. And for us, there was this huge pine tree farm. The city's now basically demolished it all, but Prior to that, they opened it up for developers and they built it, but on the condition that a lot of the mature trees had to stay in people's yards. So they put them in the front yard, or kept them in the front yard and built the houses around it that way, which caused a lot of sap to fall onto people's vehicles. So we could have run ads on, hey, we can help with sap removal or something like that. We would have been paying top dollar for ads that would be hit or miss if they would actually work, because we're just throwing it out there on social media to anybody that might meet some demographics and hoping that they bite. Instead, what we did is we paid the top dollar for informational posts about the damage that sap can do to your vehicle and how you can address that, and so on and so forth. It was just information based. But then we had a retargeting pixel on that page, on the landing page, and we were able to retarget that list of people that went to that page. But Facebook gives you a discount when it's your list. So if you've already, paid, because they say, well, you've already paid to get that user, so now we're not going to charge you full price to, show them another ad. So that second ad, the cheaper one in terms of advertising cost, that was the one that had our offer in it. And so we were able to get a highly qualified list. So we kind of created our own intention buying scenario where, someone in YouTube, for example, it's a lot different. Someone will literally type in how to remove sap from my car. And so if you've got an ad there or you've got a video and then you talk about it, whatever the case is, it's very specific. You know exactly who you're talking to. On Facebook, you're just kind of hoping that you reach the right demographic. Like, I can choose people in a certain area, things like that, but it's a lot more limiting in terms of what their intent is. And also the main reason they're on Facebook isn't necessarily, oh, I'm going to Facebook to make a purchase or something. They're not in buying mode and they're not in problem solving mode. They're in more the opposite. I want to escape. I don't want to think about life right now. I just want something fun or funny, something like that. That's what people go there for. So that's a pre-tip, is do some research on things if you are going to use social media, and create your own intentional based, scenario like what we did, something similar to that. And if you're looking for, skipping some steps and having that already done for you, YouTube and Google are great places for that, because someone's already going there with the intent to solve a problem or something like that. People obviously use Google for other things, but because you can get so targeted with the keywords and the sentences that they're typing in, that's where the real magic comes in. Yeah, so that's a pre-tip. That was just a little, yeah.
That's a pretty incredible pre-tip. Like,
just to warm it up a bit. Yeah.
Like once you start saying that, I was like, yeah, you're gonna need to say that again. Like,
yeah.
I was like, yeah, go ahead and do that one.
Exactly, but it works. It's so effective. Oh my God. And you can do that for anything. Think of all the scenarios where you can make a little landing page on something and, some information about something, put it out there. So you're just promoting information, and you're going to get a lot more clicks of people that are actually interested in that, because everyone else is just going to scroll past it. And you can make it look like a post. It doesn't have to look like an ad, because it's just information about something. Someone clicks through to it and they're not being sold anything. So they're very different frame of mind. But then boom, you hit them round two, retargeting pixel. Yeah, it's golden. Yeah, man.
It is. Nicely done.
Yeah, thank you. And,
Absolutely.
yeah.
All right. So I kind of thought a lot this week, about the conversation we had last week, and about that rule, like competition, it forces, in a sense, you to evolve.
Yeah.
And if you're not the guy that cries, you're the guy that wants to dominate. You're the guy that wants to succeed. That, here's a wild one, man. I watched this video the other day of some bears, and it was like bear fighting. I was like, okay, I want to see the bear. This bears, they talk about territory, and mating territory, like one bear's actively in his routine, and another bear's like, oh hell no. Like, oh, and I watched that fight. Who won? The one that was like, oh hell no, you ain't doing this. Like, okay, competition happens in the wild, right? Yeah. For the female. And it happens exactly with us too. Are we the person that runs away, or we're the person that wants to evolve? And I started thinking about that, and I go, evolution always has a cost.
Yeah,
There always is. There's a cost to evolution,
that's true.
whether that's internally or in nature. That cost is best paid for by what you're wanting to evolve from,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
That sounds very basic, but you have to, in a sense, pay for the evolution. What is the best payment? The best payment is something needs to die.
Mm,
Ouch.
yeah. And as long as it's not you.
Right?
I mean,
Right?
it's sad, but it's like,
But maybe if there's something that we're trying to evolve into, then actually maybe there is something inside of a Shawn that does need to die.
mm,
There becomes
yeah.
there becomes the point. What do you mean by that though, right? Like dying to something so that living for something else,
Mm,
corresponds in a sense or transforms. So the payment of death of something, we see this in nature, not only, and I can talk about, I'm not sure how the bear fight, I guess one bear has to die. I didn't mean it that way in a sense, but let's
yeah.
think of it this way is we've all seen, I talk heavily about my body and the way I feel. A lot is like I'm coming out of a cocoon. Uh,
Mm,
go for all your, if you want to understand, go research spinal stenosis, and I'm rebuilding my body, and I feel like I'm in a cocoon a lot of times where I'm just wanting to get out and go and move and break,
yeah.
but my cocoon didn't start with my body. My cocoon actually started with my mind. See,
Mm,
my ex married somebody out in another state and legally took my daughters away from me.
damn. Jesus.
That was
What that does to you. Oh,
so difficult, so
yeah.
difficult. Massive spiral into depression to where I found myself in traffic on a bridge, just going, hey, maybe this is the answer.
Damn.
Maybe this quick jump would solve all my pain,
What problems, yeah.
right? There's
Yeah.
plenty of listeners that are listening to this, whether you're on YouTube or on an audio podcast, and you've got something that is hurting you. It's painful. It's
Damn.
you could literally fill in the blank with whatever anybody. And then how
True.
do you progress out of that into an evolution of a new life? I had to say, no, I want life. I had to
Mhm.
put to death the idea of death, right?
Yeah.
You have to bring the sacrifice of whatever it is that you're wanting to get out of and progress into. You have to bring that in as the payment for the evolution. Why is there a payment necessary? Why? Because there's a transfer of energy that happens inside of evolution. In order for that spark of the energy to begin the transfer, a death has to happen and a
True.
new life has to begin.
Yeah.
At the core basis of evolution. So you take that into whatever it is that you have built a wall up on. And all of us, let's go into this. Some of us, it might not be the emotional stuff that I talked about with parents or family or friends. I know there's a lot of us that deal with that. What about the people, Shawn, and you see it nonstop in groups and probably even in your own group, is the people who build up the wall of what other people think about them? There's
Mm,
one.
yeah.
There's another wall of, I build up a wall on, I can't handle people saying no.
Mm, yeah. That's a big one.
It's a big one.
Yeah.
We don't like sales. I'm not a salesman. Well, you're not a salesman because you've heard no and you don't like hearing no. The
Exactly.
evolution is to actually take fear, right? That is what you have is fear. Take the fear itself and sacrifice the fear, right? Death to fear translates into, okay, somebody told me no. That just means that they don't KNOW. They don't know enough.
Yeah.
I can go back in, I'll do my homework, I'll make sure that I've done everything appropriate to go back in and help them know more, know enough,
Exactly. It's
right?
true.
Like that was something as a sales, if I was going to be sales and go into dealerships and go to a service manager and try and sell them how they should switch their current supplier and buy from me, I learned that the very hardcore way of, if you don't do this, you're dead. Put to death fear. Let that be the payment instead of my own dreams and my own businesses, because everybody that listens has a dream. What is it? Is it a pool? Is it where the kids can go play and have this great house and all? Is it that? Is it a car? What is it? What is it that you really want?
That's,
And you're going to need to pay for that. That payment is energy transfer. And to transfer the energy, get to that point, you got to pay for it with the death of fear, the death of disbelief, the death of caring about what other people say that you won't be able to do, the death, die to so many things so that that payment, that transfer of all the negativity inside of your mind, you can actually use that to transfer over into, I can do this. I do believe. I believe I can. That belief and that transfer begins to propel the evolution.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Man, that's so true though. Like even me, a lot of people say I'm an extrovert, but I'm actually a super big introvert. I just have extrovert tendencies. And I used to be terrified of sales. I was terrified of it. And I thought sales was like a position. I thought, no, I'm not a salesman because I don't do sales. I'm a businessman. I thought it was something different, you know? And I was like, no, everything in business is a transaction. That's what makes it a business. And so the customer service, all the way down to, you know, providing the actual service or product or whatever, everything, it's all part of the sales process, which makes us all part of the sales side. And so no one can be scared at any point in that.
Hey, but you don't get into that sales process if you walk away.
No, 100%. 100%.
You hear the word no. And for everybody that hates sales, they hear the word no and they put up a wall.
And it's that wall of fear. Yeah.
It is.
You literally have to chop it down, and there has to be less fear that you manifest in your mind so you become fearless. And that's what has to happen. And some of it comes with just putting in the reps, you know. It's you know, I don't like sales, you know, I can't close deals. Well, how many calls are you making? Oh, I'm doing about 2 or 3 calls a day. Oh, man, you got to do 200 calls a day. You know what I mean? And that's where you build up those repetitions that just make you fearless and help tear down that wall. But the other part of it is you have to understand what you're really scared of. And you hit the nail on the head, is that they don't know. They're saying no because it's just a word at the end of the day. And they're just saying it because it's like, I don't understand the value that you're presenting to me, so I'm not willing to pay for it. That's what they're saying ultimately. It's not an attack on you. It's not an attack on your business. It's just, I don't understand the value you're pitching to me. Not interested. That's essentially what it is. And so your job is to, whether you want to call it sales, you just want to call it running your business, is to express that value and convince them. But you got to do it in a way where that fear is gone. So that comes with addressing that fear first. And how I overcame my fear of selling is I sold to my family and friends. And I know family and friends are the ones that are going to like agree with you usually and be like, you can do it, Shawn, you're going to be the best. You know what I mean? But if you tell them, I'm going to call you randomly and I'm going to try and sell you something, and just fucking shoot me straight. You know, I learned a lot through that process of kind of like role playing with them, that I was able to, you know, you don't do the friendly thing like, hey, how's it going? You know, how you doing, Marty? Like catch up. No. Just call them and pretend they're an actual prospect. But you go in with different knowledge because you understand a little bit about that prospect and what things are going to sway them towards the yes. So that's where I started learning my prospecting and how I need to understand my customers as if they were my family and friends. And then I wasn't scared to talk to them anymore because I kind of knew a little bit about them. Even if I was meeting them for the first time or calling them for the first time or whatever, I understood the demographic of where they were, and I truly believed in my core that whatever I had was going to benefit them more than the money they were going to give me. And so when they said no, I'm like, no, 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 Marty, you don't understand. This is so good for your car. Like, you have no idea. I know you're saying no right now, but I haven't done a good job explaining it to you. So I tell you what, listen, the price is X. What's it going to take to make that number make sense for you? And then you break it down to me, and we have a conversation. But it really came with a lot of practice to remove that fear. And I would practice everywhere I went. Everywhere I went, I would, if it could be something simple. Hey, my wife and I, we don't have a reservation, but we want to get a table tonight. Sorry, sir, we're booked up. I would be like, let me try selling them. They're like, okay, hey, listen, I know you're booked up, but I tell, it's got to be somewhere you can fit us in here. There's got to be. I would start this negotiation, and I'm in this like sales mode now, trying to get my wife and I a table at a busy restaurant. Just talk to them, work something out, and boom. Next thing you know, we got a table somewhere. And just every situation was an opportunity where I could kind of develop some skills. And then I just became a better salesperson over time. I'm still an introvert, but the extrovert part of me is the removal of fear. So it appears as if I'm an extrovert just because I'm not scared to talk to someone and sell them what I'm offering. A big part of it too is believing in your product. But if you don't believe in your product, maybe you shouldn't be selling it in the first place. that's a whole nother.
Yeah. So I'll kind of end my theory in a sense on this, and it comes from, other people will remember better, but what was that rule of an object in motion will stay in motion unless acted on by an outside force. An object in rest will stay at rest unless acted on by an outside force, right? Like, that is a rule. It's a law, right? Like, it's true. And you think of that and you go, huh, if I'm somebody that wants to emerge into more, wanting to change myself, I'm wanting to grow into something, I have to use some force to break that cocoon, to break that wall down. And it will, by law, by rule, with my force, I will break it down. I will transform into something new. But that breaking through, think of it like a shuttle going up to space. Starts with have to have a lot of energy, right? To just get off the ground. And then how much does it shed so that just
the tip,
right? How much it costs to break through. It might cost a lot emotionally. It might cost a lot of energy. It might cost you to also die to some things. It's what you see. In order for that shuttle to get out, it had to dislodge itself from the rocket. There's a lot of things for us that I've had to learn this personally recently, even more and more. There's relationships, there's people, there's different. I needed to just cut off. I just needed to die from. It's not like they were toxic and they were pulling me down. Don't think of it that way. It's just, they didn't really mean anything anymore. And in order for me to push through a wall,
telling you through,
I just know that the next phase of my life is going to be slimmer in my close circle than the previous part of my life. And you, in a sense, you always, when you break through and you evolve, there's always things that die that you have to push away. This is a spiritual notion, a religious notion, and also just a psychological notion. Any psychology, they're going to tell you this. Any time that you want to evolve, it doesn't matter what aspect, the evolution takes the energy. That energy to pay for it mostly always comes from that sacrifice, that giving away, that expend everything so that just in this little beautiful part can grow and grow.
It's true. Well, think about a tree growing, right? So the tree comes out of the soil. Every year, more and more rings are added onto the tree. So the tree is growing. But what does it have to do? It has to grow leaves that ultimately get sacrificed. and those leaves are there to serve a purpose to help propel the tree forward, help the tree grow, but then they die off and they become soil and nutrients for future growth. And yeah, you're absolutely right. I think we've all gone through that, and I've noticed it too. I'm in my late 30s now, and in my later 30s, I've noticed that every year it just gets a little slimmer and slimmer, and it's like and you're right. Sometimes I've cut off toxic people, and other times they weren't toxic. It's just everyone has seasons in a way, and they were beneficial, or we liked each other on a different level and hung out at a certain point in my life. And then as I've gone in different directions, maybe they haven't grown as well, or maybe they just are on a different trajectory. Keep going, and yeah,
Hard. It seems simple right
it
now to
is.
talk
I
about it,
know. Yeah,
but I had heard people tell me I need to do this, but then to actually do it,
putting
to
in the work is
die to
the
something or someone and completely shut some, like,
yeah.
he's
It's
just it.
that is tough, and
But
that's
it is the price. It
and
is
you
what you
and you
have to
have to
do.
do
There's
it. You
always a
absolutely
sacrifice. There's always a death. Like,
it's
if you
true.
want to evolve.
Yeah, and you absolutely have to do it. And
Mm.
which brings me to my tip of the day, which is 3 words: execute, execute, execute. And so you have to live and act like you're in the SEALs. And so the SEALs spend a lot of time with preparation, as we all do in business, and so on and so forth as well. Spend a lot of time doing prep work and making flyers, developing price lists, and all these kinds of things that we do in business. But eventually, you got to do something that actually propels your business forward, and you have to execute. And that's where a lot of people get hung up. They spend a lot of time planning and over planning. And those 3 words are something that so the SEALs, when they're going to do something, there's a breaching team. So if they're going to breach into a building, so there's a secure facility, or they're going through a wall, or who knows what the case is, there's a guy that spends a lot of time prepping the bomb that's ultimately going to be attached for a breach. And then they go in with a team, and the breacher will go first, and he goes to the wall and he preps everything. He gets the charges ready and everything like that. And before they do anything, he turns around and looks, and it's probably nighttime, and he'll just see the glowing green eyes of his troop, and he'll say 3 words, and he says, execute, execute, execute. And then he loads that charge, that wall blasts open, and they're in there and they're causing mayhem. And they take a lot of preparation time, but the
Was
biggest
that
thing
Canadian SEALs or American SEALs? Which
I won't get into the debate about the two, but I will say our SEALs are pretty badass. They're a lot better than our hockey team, that's for damn sure. Or they usually are, I should say. But very funny, thanks. Yeah, we defend our great border with plastic spoons and maple syrup. But yeah, execution is a crucial thing, and I had 2 previous business partnerships with technology companies as well. And one of them, we received a 7-figure offer. It was quite substantial from Yellow Pages. And the one before that, the business itself did well, and we ended up just parting ways, and I sold my shares in the company. But prior to that, and the reason I exited both of those companies when I did, is the partnership stopped working the way it should. And the people I were partnered with, great guys, they're decent business people as well. However, they stopped executing. And that was the problem, is that I had a team that we started executing. We had a plan, we made a quick plan, we started just running the business and actively engaged in business. And then they started over tweaking everything. So any little thing that we were designing or creating, it was, oh, it looks good, but I don't know if it's ready yet. I think we should try purple instead of orange, and no, maybe try blue instead of this. And we were just over tweaking, and we were doing this and doing that, and especially on things that ultimately wouldn't have made much of a difference anyways. They definitely weren't revenue impacting, and we spent a lot of time just planning,
chasing rabbit
prepping.
holes.
Yes, exactly. And those businesses did well, but they didn't do anywhere near what they could have done had we stayed, and had we, done like you're suggesting with the evolution, let some things die off and just keep going. We had to execute, and we weren't executing. And I think that is a big problem for a lot of people, is the execution side. Now, the flip side of that, as we've seen with Black Friday, and this is my tip ultimately, is that we see a lot of people that assume execution just means doing something, and they don't know that execution is part of a process. So execution isn't just, firing a bullet at a target and then, okay, boom, I did something, executed the target. Sometimes execution, most times, is an entire process, and it's a continual process. And so I've seen posts recently where, first off, Black Friday and Cyber Monday, a lot of people posted things, obviously, promotions, specials, all kinds of stuff. And these were companies I hadn't heard of through the whole year. They didn't message me, even though I had an account and I'd bought from them before. But then Black Friday comes around and they start hammering me with messages. And after this weekend, I won't hear from them again.
Hey, did you see? I don't mean to chase a rabbit hole or chase a rabbit, but
no worries.
You see the amount of like companies that were doing 60% off, 50% off, 40%. It's like,
yeah,
y'all didn't have a good year, did you? Because you're having to really dump some prices because you need the money. Like the amount of detailing companies, product companies that were at 60% off, 40%. It's like,
I did see that. Yeah. And you got to think, Q4 reports are coming up. And the biggest thing that a lot of investors want to see is number of units sold. They don't care so much. They do care, obviously, dollars sold, but what gets included in the reports is number of units sold. So if they can show, look, and we had a spike, we sold 10,000 more units, but they're not mentioning the fact that, they were discounted 60%. It's like, whoo, geez, I'd rather sell less and have it be closer to my, 80, 90%, in that ballpark. I'm a big fan of buy this and get something free kind of thing. You know who's great at that? Underwear companies. T-shirts as well, but underwear companies like Victoria's Secret stuff, they're really good at, they want to sell one piece of underwear. They want to make a $35 sale, for example. And so what they do instead of saying buy, these 5 and get them for, like whatever, $7 each or something, what they do instead is they say buy 1 for 35 and you get 4 for free. They do stuff like that. And it's this is another little tip. That's a really good marketing strategy. So you could say, get this ceramic coating for, X price, and we'll do a second car for free. Bring your buddy, bring your wife, whatever. And you're getting the same price you wanted for both, but wording it a different way. It entices people. But yeah, I did see that definitely. But those same companies, I won't hear of throughout the year. They won't message. There's no email blast. I don't see them on Facebook, YouTube, nothing. But then Black Friday comes, boom, 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 boom. And they feel like they've executed properly. And that's where I think the big disconnect is for a lot of businesses, is that it's something you have to do continuously throughout the year. And what you're doing right now, you're probably already doing right. And so there's no need to be like, oh, geez, I'm running some ads and I'm not getting conversions. And so then you want to go and tweak the formula and tweak it and tweak it and tweak it. And you keep changing things and you've never done the right amount, maximum effort to have a substantial, sample set to be able to say definitively this is working or it's not working. And so what we do is unreasonable results. So, I know people that they do print marketing. We do print marketing as well. We hand out postcards, all kinds of stuff. I've talked to people and they say, oh yeah, I handed out, 200 postcards. I didn't really get any responses though. I got 2 people that called me. I'm like, yeah, you did 200 postcards. I said, do 5,000 a day. Do that for a week or 2 weeks. Then you'll have a sample size that's worth considering. And you can be like, okay, is this working or not? Because 200 is just a drop in the bucket. But if you do 5,000 a day, unrealistic numbers, do something crazy, that's when you're really going to see those kinds of results. And you're going to say, okay, we have this sample size now. It's substantial, and we can look at it and say, because if not, let's say you walk down the street and you ask 2 people, hey, you ever get your car detailed? And they're both like, nah, I never get it detailed. Now you could go and be like, oh, I should close my business because nobody gets their car detailed. No, you ask 2 people. You know what I mean? Ask 5,000 people in your community. You ever get your car detailed? You know what I mean? You're going to have a much bigger sample set to pull from. You'll have some better results. So the bigger the pool, better the results. But it comes with the execution that happens throughout the entire year. Then you can look at your stats and you can say, okay, what's working, what isn't working. But if you're only focused on Black Friday and Cyber Monday, you're not going to know what's working or not working. And the same goes for those companies that do the 60, 80% off. Like they're going to be like, yeah, we made a bunch of sales. What data are they going to have going throughout the rest of the year now to keep their sales going. They have nothing to work on because they're not executing throughout the year. So they just made a poor decision, in my opinion, going into Black Friday, being like, fuck, we got to do something crazy because it's Black Friday. That's what they did. But if they understood their client base better because they were executing throughout the year. So my tip for the day is execute, execute, execute. And that's the only way that you're going to know throughout the year, when you're communicating with your customers and you're offering them things, what, nails are going to really hit, and which hammer to use. That's how you're going to know how to better tailor your offers. And you're also going to make consistent money throughout the year. You won't be worried about slow periods or this and that. And your marketing is only going to get better because you're putting those reps in. So,
And
absolutely.
especially once you get the reps in, to your point, what you said is knowing which hammer to use, right? Like,
Yeah.
knowing the pressure, knowing which point, like that all comes to comes to what is, the elevated part of where you want to be. If you want to get to the higher end, if you want to get to make the money, if you want to perform to the elite way, it does take the the learning the pressure, learning what speed to hit, like
exactly. Yeah. It's a process, and it just comes from that consistent execution, being in the marketplace.
The analogy of Jordan, right? This is the analogy everybody loves about Jordan.
Yeah.
He's a guy that took the final shots, but he was also the guy that spent hours shooting free throws, hours shooting the same shot, like muscle memory, muscle repetition. Like, nobody puts in that time.
It's
That's
true.
the problem.
10,000 hours, and that's where it's, people wonder, they're like, well, Shawn, how'd you get good at marketing or something like this? And say, I just put the time in. I didn't go to business school. I studied geography, you know what I mean? But outside of geography, I put the time in every day, running businesses, analyzing things, studying things, trying things that worked. And for me, I never considered something a failure until I had absolutely exhausted everything possible, because we might run a campaign, but then be like, geez, it's not working. But, well, it's only been 3 weeks, these things take time. So we would keep going with that. And if we felt maybe it wasn't working the way we wanted, instead of tweaking it, we ran another one. And that's where A/B testing is so crucial. And you run them side by side, and you're going to learn from one versus the other, and so on and so forth. But sometimes a sales cycle is ridiculously long. Like, we don't even realize it's someone might have looked at, even myself, think about your own consumer habits. I've added something to a cart or clicked on a website that enticed me, looked at it and be like, oh, it's nice. I don't need it today though. And I plan on maybe someday getting it. And if they keep marketing to me, eventually I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I am going to get that. And that literally happened to me. I just bought 2 books for my nephew. They're those like customized kids books. You put in their name, and anyway, customized for them. I was looking for a perfect gift for them for Christmas coming up. And I said, oh, geez, that'd be perfect. I clicked on that company's ad literally last Christmas. And I didn't buy it because they were too young. And I was like, someday, maybe, I just kind of put in the back of my mind. So I was ready to buy, just not at that moment. And because they kept marketing to me, it eventually came back around. I was like, you know what? Time to pull the trigger. If they didn't keep marketing to me, they would have said I was what? Not interested, and their marketing was a failure. You know what I mean? They kept going, the same campaign. I saw the same ad this year that I saw last year. Exact same ad. Nothing changed. The only thing that changed on my end was my level of interest and my readiness to buy. And so keep going, keep doing what you're doing. Execute, execute, execute. Let's breach those doors.
Breach them.
Get them. Breach them.
Bust down those walls. Get
it. Exactly. Oh man, but sorry, I'm laughing too because I was thinking Theo Vaughn. I don't know if you ever watch him. He was talking about breech babies, and he's like, I feel like breech babies, they're just a different breed. They're a little more cautious. They're like, I'm not just gonna dive out head first in the world I've never been in before. They're like, let me just dip a toe in. See how it feels. Anyway, breach those walls, man. Get those sales. And every day should be Black Friday. Just doesn't have to be 60% off, which is insane. I know, but you guys, you did really well. And I will say this too: anyone that hasn't received hyperClean's messages, please go sign up for an account with hyperClean so you start to get their messages. So you can A, keep up with their news, their products, everything like that. But B, you'll see some amazing marketing that's done right, because you guys used emojis in your subject lines, and I'm surprised at how many people don't do that. It's amazing.
So they should do it because I was prepping a little bit for next week and I go, you know, a lot of, I think what I'm going to talk about next week is not copycatting, but how do you look at somebody that's doing something right
Inspiration.
and get inspiration so
Yes.
that you can continue to grow, evolve, and progress
Exactly.
through what you want to accomplish. So,
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, it'll be a good topic next week too, because we have a new feature launching with our email marketing stuff. And so we can
perfect.
go over that in a major way. It's got AI built in. It's going to be amazing. For us as a CRM, it's a competition killer, which is nice. And for you guys as a business, it's a business accelerator. So let's go. Appreciate you as always, Marty. I'll see you next week. Everybody tune in. Check this out on the Pints of Polishing podcast as well. You got to tune in there as well. And like I said, check out hyperClean car care products. See you next week. Over and out. Cheers, man.